We done 25. 25 gets you in a bye right now.
25 points. Monday Night Football gets me that bye right now. Sweating it out at this point. That's all I can do, right? Welcome back, Tiger Hawk sports fans, to yet another Tiger Hawk Sports podcast. I'm Noah Weiss.
I'm Chris Galvez.
And I mean, talking about fantasy implications going on right now, 25 points, I'm down. Who is your biggest league winner? Not fantasy playoff, we'll get that in a second. One of your biggest league winner right now in fantasy that you think has ride a lot of teams into a playoff spot that's going to be 14.
When you say league winner, you're talking about guys that like I feel like you're talking about like the Diggs. Diggs is obvious, so he's not.
No, I mean
the guy that's drafted low. That's that picked
drafted low. Guy maybe the guy came on being injured and has definitely helped your team propel your team forward after come back with a big injury.
I mean, Fields has got to be up.
I see that.
Towards the end of the season, he's going to die off a little bit, but Fields has got to be up there.
I mean, definitely. I would say within that like playoff push as well too. I mean, he's only came on around week 9, and that's like the 2 playoff push. If you're on the edge of being good or not, you need that QB. I mean, Dylan Ferry had to be that league winner for you. Foreman, another guy because McCaffrey left. How about Josh Jacobs?
Josh Jacobs is going to be number 1 this year so far.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, I don't think Josh Jacobs went pretty high in any league. I think Miles Sanders could be one too. If you didn't have a strong running back set, you took up Sanders late.
Kenneth Walker.
Definitely. I mean, he's definitely shaky recently, but definitely think he was huge.
I mean, those are obvious. We know that. The hardest part about fantasy is knowing what's to come. So you got the playoffs coming up. Week 14, you clinched. You're in the playoffs. I clinched. I had a bye week, so I haven't had to worry about fantasy.
He took 2 weeks off chilling for about fantasy. So
that's what happens when you're the best. But it is what it is. So
but
playoffs are
and I just have one quick side note before we end the fantasy football playoffs. We talk about players being the guys in playoffs. Last year we had St. Brown come out of nowhere, low end, back end of the regular season, but it beats in the playoffs. Definitely took our league to the championship that year. But what about
Benny? Another one from last year.
Definitely. But what about someone that was on and off the entire year and then just got his QB back? Talking about Donovan Peoples-Jones. I picked him up this week, in my fantasy league. Didn't start him because I had DeAndre Hopkins, St. Brown, and Steve. So why would I start him? Had a better week than all of them, which shows how that player could be a guy for the fantasy football playoffs. But pairing up with Sean Watson, I only think that enhances Peoples-Jones to be that guy. And I think he could really be that new St. Brown going in with true receiver. Not a rookie, because a lot of rookies definitely branch off. What do you think on that one?
Honestly, I like that one a lot. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones is the DeAndre Hopkins. Not nearly as talented. Amari Cooper's the most talented receiver in that offense. But I'm talking about like the tangibles. Hands, he's got good hands.
I think he's like the relief option.
He's got speed, he's got size, he's got the goal line abilities. He's everything that DeAndre Hopkins was with Sean Watson. Obviously not as good a route runner. He's not as good as Amari Cooper, but he could be.
I just think that with Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's a guy that Watson's going to rely on. When Cooper is going those deep out and getting maxed up with the true cornerback ones and he's not getting open, he's going to rely on a guy like Peoples-Jones compared to relying on a guy on relying on Cooper to catch every single ball in that offense. I think Watson's good enough where he can rely on other receivers. He's done it with Will Fuller, and that's kind of what he reminds me of. I think Jones reminds me of a better Will Fuller.
Not wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
But
I think my guy, league winner, is definitely you look out for the rookies. Amon St. Brown was so much of a league winner out there because he was a rookie that nobody thought about. And I think there's 2 guys that have been on and off this year, kind of got hot starts, kind of
I think I have an idea of who you're
Sputtered
talking
out,
about. I mean,
sputtered out in the middle. Now they're kind of starting to pick back up again. Both of them, new quarterbacks coming in. I mean, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson
Honestly,
looked good with Mike White.
honestly,
So.
I could make the argument Garrett Wilson or Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore has had all that bullshit with
He has, but Garrett
not
Wilson has
playing
that
Zach
trust. Though.
Wilson.
But Garrett Wilson has that trust with Robert Saleh and the Jets. I feel like he's more of the guy. I mean, I do think Elijah Moore could have that week in which could hurt Wilson. But I think Wilson has that faith, that offense to be that guy. That Wilson, you wouldn't want to trust anyone else, and you need to make a playoff push. They're going to make a playoff push. I mean, Mike White's proven to be the QB for the Jets right now, and we had the argument last week. But Mike White's proven it. I mean, he's put up yards. They didn't win against the Bills. A hard-fought game. They ended up losing that one. But when it comes down to it, I mean, he's doing what he can. He's getting Wilson the ball.
Absolutely.
But going into our next one, though, and I think I'm not sure if I have the guy you're talking about. But recently just changed QBs. I don't know if you guys heard Mariota went out with the injury and season-ending injury, bringing in a guy that I absolutely love. I mean, a great year since great career at Cincinnati. Desmond Ridder. I mean, you have two rookies together. I mean, I would think that you would rely on another rookie. You wouldn't go to anyone else. So I'm thinking about Drake London.
It's a young team, and Ridder is.
And they're doing the power push too. So
They aren't. I didn't think it happened with Ridder at quarterback, but that's the thing. Ridder is a rookie. He hasn't played an NFL snap yet, and Drake London is also a rookie. So you got to have that. I mean, they're coming off a bye week, so going into the fantasy playoffs, that could be huge. No one's expecting it, and someone starts him and he goes off for 30. That's something that is going to put people in the championship. That's
I definitely agree with that. I think
so
I would take
I'm not
London
saying
over
Desmond
Wilson.
Ridder is the league winner. Drake London.
I agree. I mean, you've seen spiritually what Drake London had done. So I mean, I know I had on my team for a little while, and I was trying to get him off my team when he was putting up 20 plus points the first 3 weeks this season. Honestly,
as much as no one's ever going to figure out fantasy football. There's always going to be the argument: is it zero running back strategy? Is it zero wide receiver strategy? What's the way to go? Receivers, in my opinion, can come and go just like running. Either position's so interchangeable. Receivers, I just feel like there's so much because like you can have if you have a good wide receiver 2 on a good team, they can end up being good wide receiver 2 on your fantasy. You don't necessarily need to have a starting wide receiver every single time. Like Jalen Waddle, for example.
I agree.
He's a wide receiver 1 on a good. He's a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, and he's the wide receiver 2 on his.
Yeah, that's
Like,
how the offense.
That's why receivers to me are just so. Receivers to me, there's just so much more to pick from, where running backs aren't. So running back, who's the league winning running back?
League winning or
In the playoffs?
Oh man, hands down, I think is a guy that is a rookie. I think there's 2 rookies you think about it too. I mean, one guy that came on late, I think definitely you picked him up. I know you have both these guys because I do not like it all. One of them is my boy from Rutgers, Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, he's definitely proven to be the guy. Clyde Edwards-Helaire went down. He stepped in a big role. I mean, he's not really getting that passing yards, but he will eventually. I think in that playoff time when they need to get those hard-earned runs on a third down play, they're going to get the ball to Pacheco because he runs that ball hard as fuck. So, I mean, I think Pacheco is that league. I think Pacheco is more of the league winner than the guy you're thinking about. I know we have 2 different guys that we like, but I think what Pacheco offers to the Chiefs offers much more to your fantasy team on how much the Chiefs need Pacheco to be for that number 1 seed. Because I mean, they're still pushing for that number 1 seed. They haven't pushed anything yet. So
I think I totally just blanked. I literally just had a guy in mind, and I literally can't even think of this. I actually just had someone, and I literally can't think of this.
I think I have that idea.
Well, I think of it. A guy that I think is flying under the radar right now, everyone's kind of closing the door on him this year. And it's like, oh, I don't know. Like, I picked him in the first round and he's not doing shit. Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara is a guy that can end up playing well in the playoffs. And you had him the year you won the championship and he played on Christmas. Guess what he does this year in the playoffs? He plays on Christmas.
And not only did he win me the championship that year, he put up the most touchdowns in the history of the year. So it's anything possible with Kamara.
I just got my guy back, and you're not going to. my league winning playoff running back this year, AJ Dillon. I think AJ Dillon's been asleep a little bit all season, and he's going to start waking up.
I mean, that just hurts because I mean, I do have Aaron Jones in my fantasy team. It definitely hurts. I understand that. I don't have an issue with that because I've seen what AJ Jones has been doing. I mean, when Aaron Jones went out for 2 drives that he got injured last week, AJ Dillon was getting the receiving yards, and he's still a baller. He's a tough runner. I do think those split carries. I think the way AJ Dillon becomes that league winner with all those touchdowns, I don't think he's going to get you those yards. I think he could get you those 2 touchdowns a game and 40 yards, which putting up 18 points in the playoffs for a running back definitely helps your team win you the playoffs. But one other guy, and then I want to transition into the actual playoffs, but guy that you've been so high on, I want to hear your opinion on. Rachaad White. I mean, that was your guy going into picking him up, saying, I picked up my league winner. I mean, he's helped you win. He's helped your running back situation after you lost Breece Hall and you lost Rashad Penny and you lost Johnny Swift, a couple injuries. I mean, picking up Rachaad White doesn't help you. Yeah, you're still not high with Rachaad White like you used to be.
Well, when you're the best fantasy manager of all time and you literally have Breece Hall go down, Jamar Chase goes down, you need to find a way. You need to find a way to be 9-4. You need to find.
We already got this
You
talk.
find a way
We
to
don't
win.
need to talk anymore. Come on.
So I picked up Isaiah Pacheco, who you said's a league winner. I absolutely agree with that. He's going to be a league winner. Then you go ahead and you pick up Rachaad White. You want to know why? Because you look at the analytics, you look at the statistics. Rookie running backs start to pick it up after the bye. Guess who started getting more carries for the Buffalo Bills after their bye week? James Cook. Guess who was the rookie running back in the Bucs offense with Tom Brady, who loves to dump it down to running backs? Leonard Fournette goes down with an injury. Guess who steps up? Rachaad White. So Rachaad White.
You're snaking around that question.
Rachaad White will be a league winner. I absolutely love him. He does have some questions with ball security, which I think could get him in trouble with the Bucs. But if that's his job, if he's going to split carries with Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White's a guy you're not necessarily going to start, but he's a guy that you want on your bench just in case.
I would agree with that. But last thing I want to mention with the playoffs, and this is a word of advice. I've been doing it personally. I know Chris has been looking into it and doing his own little research. Is if you're looking to make that playoff push and you can't find these guys you just mentioned, you have Rhamondre Stevenson, you have James Conner, you have Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon on the waiver wire. Go out and get a handcuff. Go out and get a guy that if an injury happens, you have someone that can go in their place. Someone that you can just add on a bench spot. Doesn't even have to be yours. Just get one guy that you think if injury happens, he's going to be a factor or a big factor to that offense and help you continue the success you're having.
This is the time of your handcuffs start flying. And you got to remember those teams that are making the playoffs aren't necessarily going to risk their star guys at the end of the games when they know that the playoffs are coming up. But speaking of the playoffs.
Talking about risk. I want to go risk and reward here. I mean, there's one team I have in mind that kind of looked like they were going down the drain. I mean, they looked like they were throwing their eggs in the basket, getting rid of a star player on the team. And since that trade, I mean, they've won 4 games and they're in the playoff picture. And the players that are on that team that you thought would be not playing in the playoffs, like I have them on St. Brown and you have DeAndre Swift, are now major factors in the fantasy playoff with the implication that they could be in the playoff of your life. So, I mean, what are your Lions' thoughts? Do you think it's a fluke couple wins, or do you think it's some serious shit going on?
I mean, do I think it has something to do with the schedule? Absolutely. But you've seen Hard Knocks. I know you've seen Hard Knocks. The Lions are going to play hard. They're a physical team. They're going to play hard. They're going to run to the ball.
I mean, that's what Dan Campbell is, though. That's who
Jared Goff has been playing his best football this year. Jared Goff.
I have never thought Jared Goff was that awful at QB. I mean, he took the Rams to a Super Bowl. Yeah, they lost, and then a year later they gave up on him.
I mean, but the Lions right now are an extremely hot team. I mean, let's just go through their win streak. Since they put the bye week, they put Dallas Cowboys. They held the Dallas Cowboys 24 points. We know that's not easy.
No, not at all.
Especially this year. They're scoring points this year.
They're definitely. I mean, so did the Vikings.
Ever since that game, they've played the Miami Dolphins, lost by 4.
Good battle. Good hard fought.
They played
hard fought loss there.
Green Bay Packers division game, week 9. They won. They play the Chicago Bears, who we know Justin Fields picked it up. That offense has been humming.
With Fields,
They won.
Fields running the ball.
Then you go to
And it was a last second nitty gritty play that helped them win the game. And which was close. I don't think it was a blow. What there was a blow out there?
Then you go to the MetLife in the middle of November.
Take down the Giants who are
And
hot.
Then you go to Buffalo on a short week. A game where Buffalo is the game happening? Is it not? Can Buffalo get out of the snow? All that stuff on a short week on Thanksgiving, and you only lose by 3 to the Super Bowl favorites. Very darn good. Then you go into week 13. You play the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are probably the second hottest team in football right now, and you absolutely blow them out. And then you go to Minnesota, who has the second best record in football behind the Philadelphia Eagles, and you absolutely embarrass them.
Embarrassed them. It wasn't even.
There was no offense.
It was.
I mean, Justin Jefferson obviously had a game, but that wasn't.
It doesn't matter about the stat. I mean, the score.
They couldn't stop him.
Shane Brown looked good.
Jameson Williams, first play.
Touchdown.
I mean,
DJ Chark bombed down for a touchdown. I mean, they just torched that defense.
now you got an interesting schedule coming up. You go back to MetLife. You go to MetLife twice in 1 year.
But
You know how bad that turf is. You have a chance to be 500 if you beat the New York Jets.
how can they do it?
And then you go to play the Carolina Panthers, who aren't exactly a good team. You could be 8-7. Then you go to play the Chicago Bears. You could be 10-7. Then you ended off at
9-7.
what Lambeau Field last week of the season. You're 10-7. You're fighting the New York
9-7.
Giants. You're fighting the New York Giants and the Commanders, possibly even the Green Bay Packers for a playoff spot.
You're not playing the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers aren't making that playoff push. I don't see where. And if you pull my schedule up and you prove me
I
wrong,
will-
I don't think the
I'm
Packers.
going to look at the Week 18 schedule right now.
I want to see that Packers.
I'm going to Week 18 schedule. Week 18 schedule. You know how they like to flex games around. They haven't flexed anything yet. I'm telling you right now, there's not. I'm looking at these games. Jets, Dolphins, maybe.
No.
Like Cowboys, Commanders isn't going to be prime time. Browns, Steelers, no. Bucks, Falcons, no. Cardinals, 49ers, no. Chargers, Broncos, no.
Who launched
Chiefs, Giants, Eagles, no. Lions, Packers is going to be that.
I thought you meant Packers made the playoff.
They could. They could.
What is Packers record now?
Packers are 5-8. Packers are 5-8, and they play the Rams. They can easily win next Monday night. Then they play the Dolphins, Vikings, Lions. I mean, tough stretch.
Yeah, I mean,
But if Aaron Rodgers
it's doable. It's
Aaron
definitely
Rodgers
doable.
gets healthy after that bye week,
I mean, it's definitely doable. But they need a lot to happen at that point. I mean, you think about
If
every
the
year to win. So
Packers just beat the Bears. You carry that win over the bye week and start winning these last couple games. Dolphins haven't looked good. Vikings defense is in trouble. Last 4 games, they give up a lot.
another team talking about getting the health NFC. They're talking about NFC. I mean, Packers. I was gonna say the Packers. Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot to happen at the 5-8. I mean, they need to win a couple more games. Preferably win out to get that spot. I don't know how we're looking with the NFC right now, but two teams. One team has taken a complete downhill slope, and then one team has kind of been back and forth all year and looked amazing yesterday. That was the Chargers. I mean, I think the Chargers were really damn good yesterday. Defense came together when they had to. Justin Herbert looked good. Eckler always been good. Keenan Allen looked good, playing healthy for the probably his first legit healthy game since week 1. What are your thoughts on the Chargers? Because I mean, I know those are my riders to win the Super Bowl this year after all the moves they made. So
I think Herbert silenced a lot of people. I think he proved that he's just as good as Tua and all those other big quarterbacks, big name quarterbacks. Because a lot of people had doubts about Herbert for whatever reason. He couldn't win games. Herbert doesn't turn the ball over much. He just doesn't have that much to help him. You just saw what he could do with a full offense. Mike Williams comes back, Eckler's in there, Keenan Allen's in there. Defense is starting to get healthy again, and Herbert throws for 400 yards.
well, you don't have your receivers that you had your entire career. That definitely hurts your mobility to be successful. Well, one other team sticking with that NFC. Well, this Seahawks. I mean, were hot, and now they're in that decline. Man, I can say you called it. But I hate putting shit in your corner and saying you called shit. But I mean, you kind of had that decline on the Seahawks. So, what's your opinion on that one?
I think they were riding the wave of Ken Walker. What does Geno Smith have that any other quarterback does?
I mean, you can. I don't think you can just.
He's not a mobile quarterback.
I don't think they just. I don't think you just.
Oh, absolutely not. You don't. I will never discredit Geno Smith. He played unbelievable, stepping in there with all the expectation of Russell Wilson going and how the Seahawks were going to suck, and he absolutely turned in a 7-6 season so far and puts them right in the mix of the playoffs. It's an unbelievable season by Geno Smith. What I said was Geno Smith isn't a playoff quarterback, not a Super Bowl quarterback.
Oh no shot. I mean, I think he's playing a good.
He's a starter. He's a starting quarterback.
That's right now.
Not franchise, starting quarterback.
Do you believe that at some point
the Seahawks were
Seahawks move on, or they move with Drew Lock?
The Seahawks were riding them as far as their defense would take them, and Kenneth Walker would take them. Their running game, for that matter, would take them. Kenneth Walker, Rashad Penny both go down right now, and that puts so much more pressure on Geno Smith. Did he play great a week ago? Yeah, he did. But then you see games like this weekend where he just couldn't get it going, and that's what hurts the Seahawks. They're not going to score that many points every week, and they're just too inconsistent of an offense and too inconsistent of a defense right now.
I just think that offense, and they've always been like this. I mean, even Russell Wilson. I mean, if there was no real rushing game for Seattle, it wasn't like Russell Wilson was able to put Patrick Mahomes shit up or Josh Allen shit up. Like, no, like, I mean, I feel like there's some offense that rely on a run, but especially with Geno Smith there, you're limited to the ability of what that offense can truly do. But now they're getting late in the season. We talked about a couple guys.
I got one more team for you that I want to talk about. Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys. You know how to bring some NFC.
We always talk NFC. If you don't think we talk NFC
Eagles,
then we're not doing on the podcast correctly.
12-1, put a 40, 50 points.
What was it? Almost 44. I want to say it was 44 points.
50 points against
it's.
You know what? Actually, now I got to go back into my Giants fan. I got to have a Giants fan at least every podcast. Okay. All these Giants fans are like, "Oh, we're coming for the East. We're gonna win. We're gonna win." Now you're 4-1. Sorry, I had to add that time because you guys have.
I was at that game. It was really bad.
1-4-1 in your last 6 games.
Since the bye week.
Absolutely flipped your season on its head. Oh, it's because of injuries. No Adoree Jackson, no Xavier McKinney. No, every team deals with injuries.
No, I'm not.
Every team deals with injuries.
I never want to discredit it.
We're no fault other than your own for not having a receiver. For sticking with Daniel Jones. That's your own.
All right, so we're going to have this argument here because I don't give you credit everything you said. You can't have injury excuse. I know once came in here and said, "Oh, Giants aren't good. Giants are good. They have all the players healthy." Do I think losing players on the Giants hurts the Giants more? Yeah, I really do, because I don't think Giants have that depth, but that's also on the Giants. That's nothing to do with people going down. People go down. You should have more depth that can cover those positions. But I don't think Daniel Jones this season is the issue. Do I think he's the answer? No. But I think Daniel Jones played well enough, and not every single game. He's had bad games. Well enough in games to put Giants in situated to win. Last week, this week, did he play amazing? No. I don't think he played awful. I don't think he played to the ability he played the last 3 years. But I also don't think the Giants are a playoff team. I said I'm happy that they exceeded my expectations. I went into this year thinking the Giants would have won 2 games, Chris. I didn't think the Giants would win 2 games. If they won 2 games and they were competitive, I would have took the season to win and coughed it up as like, Brian did a good fucking job. I'm happy for you. So there is no this, all the Giant fans think they said. I mean, some Giant fans may think it, they're delusional response. Because if the Giants fans go into this thing, I'm making the playoffs. Now, if they go into the playoffs and win the first playoff game, I'm going to shut the fuck up and eat my own words. But if the Giants go into this thing and they're going to win the playoffs, they're going to go to the Super Bowl this year, they should stop football. They should stop watching football and just crawl into a fucking rock. Because, in my opinion, we had this argument earlier before the podcast. It goes to the 20th pick or like a top 13 pick if you're in the playoffs. So if I'm the Giants, I don't really want the 20th pick to get blown out in the first round. I want that 13th pick. I want a guy that I can build my future around. We're in a mode right now. We have good coaches. We've seen potential from our young guys in Kayvon, Evan Neal, Andrew Thomas. Darius Slayton has stepped up a little bit. I mean, Saquon Barkley, we don't know what's going on with him. If we get a guy in the draft and we get guys in free agency, maybe next year I would be more optimistic about us making the playoff run. But right now, I don't want that. I really don't want to play one. I want to play hard. I don't want to see us get embarrassed like we did this past week. But I want the Giants to have a true path to success and not just go home, go in, win a playoff game, and think Giants have succeeded at all, because Giants are a franchise that has won, and we haven't won in fucking 8 years.
Well, before we get into the Eagles, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Per Adam Schefter, Patriots running back Ramondre Stevenson won't return tonight due to an ankle injury.
That hurts. You got to watch James Conner down offense, and I mean, it's
Anyway,
24 points.
Eagles are only 2 games up on the Cowboys. They lose one game say they lose to the Bears next week, and Justin Fields, that game for the NFC Cowboys versus Eagles is going to be for the NFC East. It's going to be for the NFC East.
Well, put it this way.
And the Cowboys haven't lost to a division opponent yet. Or they lost to the Eagles.
Put it this way.
But the Eagles will have lost to the Cowboys and Commanders.
Do I think that the Eagles are going to win the rest of the game beside the Cowboys? I really think they have a shot to. But do I think the Eagles are a better team than the Cowboys?
Do you think the Eagles go 16-1?
No, they lose to the Cowboys.
Fair enough.
But I still think the Eagles are going to be that 1 seed.
Fair enough.
But I think the Cowboys are better than the Eagles. And it's not just because of just saying that the Eagles are flawed. It's because the Cowboys defense, Eagles defense play good too, but the Cowboys defense makes plays. Eagles get plays that happen. I mean by that, Eagles have those opportunities by missed opportunities by the offense. Cowboys force missed opportunities by the offense. And Cowboys have, in my opinion, a much better running attack and a much better QB. I mean, I don't think Jalen Hurts is anything special. I think Jalen Hurts is good in that offense. Even though Jalen Hurts was Tennessee Titans, I don't think he is what he is at any point. So Dak Prescott on the Tennessee Titans, he's just as good as he is right now.
I agree.
So I mean,
That's
but
pretty much it.
this is what I want to get into real quick. We're going into week 15. Talk about playoff predictions and playoff everything. One team that's going to be a wild card that can make that run into the Super Bowl. You probably know my team already.
Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you for that. When mine, I'm going to go more AFC. I think Dallas Cowboys made that given, but he's still a wild card team. I did say wild card. I think it's the Chargers. I think the Chargers getting healthy again, with the offense healthy and that defense getting healthy. I mean, we've seen what Herbert can do and how the defense works. I think that's the Chargers Cowboys Super Bowl. He's not even at that blue either. So, but with that, we covered a lot. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Check out our podcast on Spotify and YouTube. And with that, Tiger Sports out.